Actually, I'll answer for Felicia. I witnessed her putting her foot Thomas's with her foot.
No, my dirty laundry is being aired.
Let's start this thing, fool. Hello, I'm Sam.
And I'm Amelia.
Welcome back to Ask the Duo podcast where we aim to build better mindset for better relationships.
And this week we are definitely talking about relationships, but we're not going to be talking about it within us. We're going to bring in some special guests all the way from a concrete jungle where dreams are made of, the state of New
York, baby.
So we have my beautiful cousin, Felicia, also known as the co-host from Beauty Within, and and the amazing husband, Thomas, who also has his own podcast with a few of his friends, co-host from Friends Next Door.
Guys, he's actually retired. I don't know if you've noticed, but he hasn't been on the podcast.
I did see that.
Short hiatus.
But
Hiatus, yes.
Yeah.
you are still going to be part of that Friends Next Door no matter what. But welcome.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you for having us. And when you were saying that, I was like, it's actually where dreams are crushed. But
The reality.
Damn.
reality.
So, what are we doing today, Sam?
Well, we're going to be playing a game that has 3 levels. One is your icebreaker. Your second level.
Wait, what are you doing? We
Oh my
haven't even
God.
introduced the game that we're doing.
We haven't even spoken about the game yet.
What are we doing here?
What are we doing? Excuse me, I'm walking here. So we're playing this game called Let's Get Deep Couples Edition. And I'll let you explain the game, Sam.
Rewind. 3 main levels. One is your icebreaker. Your second level, which is deep. And then the ultimate level, which is deeper.
And we've done a lot of these in the past where we've played it between us, but I thought it'd be really interesting where we bring in another couple, which is you guys, to play it with us.
At the end of it, divorce.
Yes, I was going to ask, have any of these rounds you played led to fights?
I don't know. We haven't played it yet. This is the first, so you guys
First
are
one.
playing with us for the first time.
Game on, buddies.
Yeah, we're going straight to the level 3, which is all the deeper questions.
Hardcore.
Wait, I thought we agreed to some break the ice, no?
No icebreaker.
Nah.
We don't need
No
that.
ice. Straight
we
into
don't,
it.
We don't want that surface
Yeah, I
level
was
thing.
like, why do you need to break the ice with your partner? Like, isn't that ice broken a long time ago?
What if it's revealed that I know nothing about her?
Awkward.
You know, like half the time that I think women or like girls seem crazy is because we remember everything.
Yeah.
And like
Yes.
guys only selectively remember
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
So it's like we're always talking about stuff because we just remember it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll go straight to level 3, and there are definitely some questions that make you think about your purpose of life on Earth.
Well, that went from relationship to like existential
Existential,
crisis,
yeah.
like real quick.
Pretty much. All right. Do you want to do the honors, Sam?
All right. Let me summon my Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Time to
Eyes wide dragon.
Hell yeah, baby. All right. So the first question is, oh my God, would you be willing to have horrible nightmares every night for a year if you would be rewarded with extraordinary wealth?
Wow, that's a really interesting
Okay, I
question.
think that depends. How much emotional damage or psychological damage will come out of these nightmares?
Well, it says
for a
horrible
year?
nightmares. So think
Horrible,
of the
yeah.
worst one you've ever had and having that every single day
For
of
a
the
whole
year.
year.
Yeah, it's like, what if you, I don't know, end up offing yourself midway through?
That's
right?
true. I think there's like many boundaries. So like, one, are you a mentally stable person to begin with? And then how do we define nightmares? Is it like a spiritual ghostly thing that continues to haunt you? Or is it just like a nightmare where you're running? You know those dreams where you're kind of like running from something, or like you trip and then you wake up, and like sometimes that could be labeled as a nightmare. So like, what is defined as a nightmare?
I'm just thinking.
And then what was the second part of the question? Either nightmare for a year or wealth.
Yeah, so it's willing to have horrible nightmares every night for a year if you would be rewarded with extraordinary wealth.
Well, that's a no from me.
That's no from me, dog.
I don't know if it's worth my mental health.
Exactly.
Because it's only a year.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you can work on your own career to build that up, right?
True.
Yeah, I don't really know who would, like, are they sadistic? Is that why they want to be traumatized for a year? Or unless you're in like a compromising situation where,
like you're in dire need of some wealth.
yeah, in dire need. Like, you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Like, if you can't fulfill your basic food, safety, shelter, then like, yeah, maybe I'd take the nightmares, because maybe my life is already that bad that it's like a nightmare. So what's another dream gonna do if I can't put like a roof over my head?
What more can life do to you?
Yeah,
No,
so
but-
I feel like, yeah.
No, but what if it's like, it's one of those things where, like if it scars you so much, like how much enjoyment can you get out of having that wealth afterwards?
Yeah, that is so
Like,
true.
if you get like, I don't know, PTSD or like whatever severe mental health issues afterwards, is it worth it?
And then you're going to use that wealth to pay for psychology sessions or
Oh
something.
yeah, you have to spend it back, so it's like you break even and nothing happens.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I think we agree. No, right? You didn't give us an answer.
Well, I think the horrible nightmares is subjective, as like you said, Felicia, right? But I think if you're headstrong and you can deal with it, you could probably get away with a
Wait, so
year's
are
worth.
you saying yes then?
I'm kind of like thinking I could probably deal with horrible nightmares for like a whole year.
What's your idea of a nightmare? Like, what's your worst nightmare if you've ever had one?
A nightmare to me is like those ones that you're saying, you know how you're constantly running? Just imagine you're like in a field and you're like running like this, and then you're like, you fall over and you're like, no, don't kill me. And then you get up and you got to keep running again. Those kind of dreams where you can't get out of those situations.
You're in this endless loop.
Yeah, you're in that endless loop. I feel that's like a pretty bad nightmare. And I think
Is that your worst one though, that you've ever had?
I think that's probably like one of those worst ones. Or those weird feelings where you're falling and you're like constantly falling.
Oh my god, imagine a whole year of every night of you just looping in this falling motion.
Groundhog Day, like in your dreams.
Yeah. I think another thing like to factor in is if the nightmare disrupts my sleep and like my normal routine and like I can't focus, I think that starts to take a toll on like work, relationships, like just living a normal daily life, which then I would also say is not worth
True.
too much. If I don't, if I'm not struggling to put clothes on my back and like a shelter over my head. So I would, still rather
it's not worth
smooth daily life.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking of like the worst nightmare I had, which is, it might sound silly, but is basically I had a dream that I think it was I was in college again. And it was towards the end of the semester, and I think I was like, it was a class where you didn't have to do any of the homework assignments until you didn't have to hand in any of the homework assignments until the end of the semester. And obviously, I did not do any of the homework yet. So it's like the last week of class, I'm like struggling to learn the material, and also finals and the tests are everything. And it's just like that dread of like not being able to finish the work.
Sounds
and
like a really realistic dream.
This is based on my real life, actually.
Yeah, I was just gonna say describing his actual school life.
And I'm pretty sure I had that dream again, that nightmare again within the past year. I was just like, I wouldn't want to experience that for a whole year.
Yeah, that's stress.
Separate question, like, you know how some people say dreams are either reflective of a different like reality and there's some like truth to it, or it's like subconscious repressions? Or do you think dreams are actually just like random?
I feel like it definitely has meaning behind it, even if it's something completely different. Like, say, they say if you dream of you losing your teeth, means that there's change in your life. Like, I definitely believe things like that. But I think there is definitely a handful of dreams where it's just something. Say you watch the really intense movie and you dream of it. There's also those situations as well.
I think dreams, it's all about your subconscious mind, because sometimes you dream of certain things when you see things in real life. So like, for an example, if let's just say if I play games with my friends, sometimes I have dreams of me playing games, but like I'm actually acting it in real life. So like I've had dreams where I would actually say things
I can attest
in
to
real
this.
life, and she'll wake up and be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, there's like this one was like shoot, run, quick. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Hey, since you guys started doing Muay Thai, do you ever wake up like punching or kicking something?
Yeah, in a mid competition.
I've actually not, to be honest. I've actually never dreamed.
That's happened to me when I did Chinese martial arts. Like I would wake up like kicking something.
Really?
What, just out of nowhere, you just get up?
Just like in the air, let's say.
You like do one of those jump split kicks in the air.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like full Ip Man.
That's so funny. That's when you know you're very invested into it. All right, that was a deep question to start off with. All right, we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, I was like, is that totally a tangent?
Continue. All right, what are you most grateful for in your life right now?
I'll go first. So for me, this could be surface level to some extent, but I'm grateful to be alive and be present to experience life.
No, I think that's good. Like, you get to a point now, I think, when you've matured so much that you really do just appreciate just waking up each day and just being able to enjoy another day of life, which is quite similar to me.
The little things.
Yeah, that's
what I say. The key to happiness: low expectations.
What about you guys? That disgust in your face.
Like, I hate that quote. Like, I understand it, but like, it's so annoying. But anyway,
I'm actually most grateful for having her in my life right now.
Oh,
that's so cute.
There's a gun behind his head.
Yeah.
It's right here.
That's why your hand was hiding behind the chair.
No, just in the sense of like I remember how much stuff, like whatever I went through during like COVID or even before, and just like whether the highs or lows, right? And especially now of just like having someone to bounce ideas off of, or like experience things with, experience lows with. It's like it's been nice to have her to like help me through that as well.
True, because he's going through like a job search, right? And I think like before, if you have to deal with something yourself and you're kind of you're not sure about yourself, and then you can kind of just dig yourself deeper into that tunnel of like self-pity or self-loathing, and then if you don't have good people around, then it's kind of hard to like pick yourself up with that.
Yeah, and we can relate. Like, we both like just going through career, just discovery through career, and if we don't have each other to even just the simplest thing of just saying that like you're just not enjoying today and bouncing that thought and just talking about it and just diving deep into why you're feeling that or why you're thinking that, I think it'll be hard to do it alone, especially when it's repeating over time, because there's like been a few career changes for both of us, and doing that again and then start again and thinking and finding yourself in the same position is going to be hard.
Yeah. And then for me, the other part is like having a bit of accountability, whether it's like daily life things of just like she makes sure that I sleep at a normal time, versus if I were still by myself, I'm
games into the night, watches stuff into the night. I'm like, go to bed.
Yeah, that's him.
Exactly.
That's him.
That's me too. Me too. But no, I think what you said, Thomas, is that's true though. Hey, it's having that companion to just talk about things. And it's like just picking your brain and getting someone's opinion. I think that's awesome to have. And even for me, like I always pick her brain. If I have something to think of or just trying to dive into something, I get her confirmation or what her thoughts are. And then most times if I say something and then she's like, nah, dude, that's fucked up. I'm like, oh, true. Okay, cool.
Or
Thank
you
you.
just get someone's opinion that's like a third party. They're not in your world and they can see things from outside perspective, and then you see the bigger picture and you're, oh yeah, that is true. Like maybe I'm just too in my head, and seeing it from the third party and you're like, it kind of brings you back, makes you more grounded, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is something that I can work through.
Yeah, exactly. And that's especially true for me. Like I am often in my head, and then so it's useful to have her like essentially like interrupt that loop. And then we're actually very different in how we like tackle a lot of issues. And then also for her, it's like she also doesn't like just go along like with whatever I say. Like if she's got an opinion that's different from mine, I'll know it.
Challenge.
Yeah, it's the same with us. I feel like that's important as a couple or in a relationship, because I do find a lot of people where they would just agree to something because, like, for example, there's so many things where it's like you just let the female just do whatever they want, and then the husband's always like, yeah, like that's fine. Let's just let her do whatever. But if you really don't agree with it, I would prefer someone to speak up and be like, that's not right, or that's not something I prefer to do, or something, and then that's how you grow stronger as a couple.
Yeah, like in a way that the other person can receive well, which is like a whole conversation about communication styles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that was another deep question. Next one.
Next one.
Wait. What?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. What is yours, dude?
Don't hide behind
Trying to hide.
Thomas's answer.
Yes. in your life.
Yeah, nice try trying to delay and deflect.
It's definitely not you. I think like as we get older, you know how like when you're young, you have a big group of friends, you always want to surround yourself with as many people as you can, and like it's fun and it's fine. But then as we go older, like we have less time, our priorities change. So I think my gratefulness also lies in having like a really small but tight group of friends who aren't necessarily friends because you just share the same hobbies, but like kind of like a relationship. Outside of the relationship, I'm able to go to them and they can kind of, do the same thing as my partner can. It's like challenge me when I might not see things clearly or correctly, or like lean on just to talk to. And I think friendships are actually really hard to find later on in life because you've kind of already matured into a person that you are. And then to kind of like find someone already halfway along in that is difficult. Like no one really has time like we used to just go out and hang, right?
Yeah.
You really have to put in the effort. You have to prioritize. So I think like now, even though I don't have a lot of friends, the ones that I do understand me like spiritually, like mentally. They're there to support, but also it's kind of like unconditional. So yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, that's a good one because we did a recent episode that was
Like
surrounding
adult
that.
friendships are harder to find.
They really are. And it's funny because I feel like the deepest friendships I have now are really only the ones who we can like share the most difficult times in, because like as we adult more and more, it's just kind of like more and more difficult.
Yeah.
So if I can't like get down and gritty into the like not fun stuff with you, then I kind of find it hard to relate anymore because it's like anyone can do the fun stuff. Anyone can talk about, the like trendy stuff, but that's not really, I don't know. It's not really what drives friendships for me anymore.
Nah, I get that as well.
All right, next question. How do you define honesty? Ooh.
Should we start with like what Google says honesty is?
We'll end with that.
End
We'll
with
define
that.
it first.
Oh, okay. Honesty.
No, Felicia, you go first because you go last all the time.
Honesty. This one's interesting to me because like I'm going to talk about it in the context of I guess, relationships and interpersonal relationships,
Mm.
because, you know, we're all built around kind of social circles.
Yeah.
Like, I've realized over the years that you can tell the truth to someone, but it depends on like where the starting point is. So like, let's say I have a friend or a family member, whoever it is, that I don't like something about, right? So there's like, I could just go up to them and be really blunt and just tell them honestly what I think, and it could be received totally the wrong way, and they flip out and they're like defensive and all that. And that's fine, right? I'll be like, I told my truth, take it or leave, that kind of thing. But now I realize like real honesty, if the end goal is for everyone to like be better, it has to be paired with something
Respect.
else, like another trait, like honesty and empathy, or like honesty and like compassion, or honesty and just something else that kind of you're thinking of the other person so
Yeah.
that you can both be better. That's like in terms of interpersonal, because the truth itself, I don't know, it can be hard to swallow, right? Other times you don't need to think about feelings. Like, so if we're not like trying to get the message across in a specific way and have other people understand, then I think truth is truth, whatever, right? Like black and white. But when it comes to people, I think taking into consideration other people's feelings, their backgrounds, how they grew up, like telling the truth in that way demands a little bit more like finesse. So I don't know. That didn't really define what honesty is. It's more just about like the way
How
that
to
it's
portray.
presented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. The end goal is for them to learn and better themselves. But it's really important to, just be able to understand that person as well, where when you portray a message, it's not going to make them flip. And
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that because I used to be 100% like that when I was younger. I used to just tell people 100% honest, hey, this is it. And then they take it totally wrong. And then I look like the bad guy.
Yeah, and then everyone kind of steps away feeling a little bit shitty about themselves.
Yeah.
And the whole point is missed.
Yeah, that's why I kind of feel like honesty has to come with a level of respect too, like respecting yourself and also respecting the other person, because you're respecting yourself because you're speaking up for yourself so that you have boundaries so people understand you better, but you also have to respect the other person because it's like you said, how you deliver it. You can't just be like, oh my God, you're such a dickhead. I didn't like what you did or something. You have to actually explain to them why you felt that way and respecting that this was an honest mistake that they did, and then explain how you want to move forward. So I feel like honesty is always paired with a level of respect. It's hard to define though. Like I feel like it's again just how you deliver it.
What I also realize is like in an event, like our truth and our perception of the truth is also very different. Like dependent on how we see it, because I think all like our brains and everything that we grew up believing might actually perceive the same thing completely different.
Yeah.
You know? So I also realize that, and then it's not good enough for me to just say, no, that's the truth because I saw it. But like another person will see that completely different, even though it's the same thing. So it's like this idea of truth itself is also kind of, I don't know, it's interesting like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think my definition is too different, but in a sense, it's more of like honesty is like however you can describe what's happened in reality as objective as you can, right? And it's the as you can part that's like the caveat.
Subjective part.
Yeah, and it like sometimes it's just like you're gonna have your biases, you're gonna perceive the same event in a certain way, but you sometimes just have to tell it as you can see it because that's the only frame that you have versus like trying to like perceive it from every direction and every possibility possible is just like doesn't really make sense. And then at the same time of like trying to add the finesse in there in terms of like how you need to deliver like some feedback, let's say. Like imagine if like a workplace scenario where it's like you think your coworker is terrible, and let's say your coworker is objectively terrible, right? But you still need to figure out how to deliver that.
Yeah. No, that's actually really good explanation. But I did Google while we were looking at that. Honesty is the quality of being honest. It's actually quite simple.
Thanks, Google.
Wow.
Then what's honest? Like, go to the root word
Hey
honest.
Google, define honest.
Sets off everyone's
Yeah.
Google.
Starting with the most common one, honest can be used as an adjective to mean free of deceit and untruthfulness, sincere. Is that the meaning you were thinking of?
Maybe. Thank you, Google.
What was it?
Free of deceit.
Free of
Here's
deceit.
some words that have a similar meaning to honest.
Okay, Google, stop.
You're not part of this conversation. Truthful and sincere. So yeah, I think Thomas did define it quite
Yeah.
well. It's like, just how you see it at that point in time.
Objectively.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Would you accept 20 years of perfect happiness and fulfillment if it meant you would die at the end of that period?
Oh, shit.
That's so something.
Wow.
Well, firstly,
Cool.
what came to mind is like, I wholeheartedly don't know if happiness in that sense even exists as humans. Like, I think we're almost put here to actually go through hardships in a way that actually bring us out of misery. Like, what is happiness? Firstly, like, the definition is so different for everyone, but sometimes I have 3 consecutive good days and I'm like, oh God, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, the anticipation.
Whether it's like physically, emotionally, like, I don't think happiness in a simple sense elevates us or me like in a way that facilitates real growth,
Yeah.
because then it's kind of like, well, you're happy and you never learn any lessons. Like, if it wasn't for friendships going awry or like family situations that I can't comprehend yet and working around that, then I wouldn't know how to appreciate the joys. Like, I wouldn't know what happiness is without the opposite of that, which is depression or hardship or so it's kind of like, in order to see the light, you kind of need to go through darkness kind of thing. So I would definitely not take like 20 years of bliss and die after that. I don't know how meaningful that would be to me. Like, I wouldn't know how to appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm on the same line actually, because it's like, well, for one, it's like you learn to appreciate things over time, and that is like a sort of happiness in itself. And along with like knowing having gone through the downs to really appreciate it, right? And then the other part is like, from a more psychological standpoint, there's something called a hedonistic treadmill. So it's like it's usually how like whatever state of happiness you attain, it drops off after a while. So imagine it's like you get a new car and you're like plus 10 happy for a while, right? But then after like a week, that car is no longer as shiny. And then you're going to, because it becomes a norm. And so you're going to need that continuous like new thing or a new stigma, new stimulant to bring you to the next level, right? So like, to me, those are like the two things of like why I wouldn't take the deal either.
That's true. That's what I always think about when you go to a hotel and it's like, oh my God, this is so nice. And then like 2 days later, you're like, meh, your stuff is everywhere and it just becomes like another room.
Yeah.
It's like, it fades so quickly.
Yeah. This is why I've always stayed at hostels.
So that you can appreciate life when you step out of that hostel. Nah, I'm exactly the same. I was just thinking, putting myself in that shoe, putting myself in that 20 years of happiness. It's like, how happy will I actually be after experience great things every single day? Like, does it become mediocre or do I actually enjoy life? And I think it's just thinking also back into the upbringing and all the challenges that we've gone through the whole entire life. And the things that I appreciate the most is just realizing off the back of these challenges, then you realize how hard life can be, and then seeing the things that actually go well for you and you actually truly appreciate it because you know that life can be hard. So I feel like if everything is perfect every single day, I don't know how I would feel like just living 20 years of that.
it would actually feel kind of empty. You know how we always want what's like the grass is always greener on the other side, but then you realize it's not green. It's just more
brown.
grass.
Yeah. Just weeds growing out of the lawn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're weeds.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically what you three said, that's kind of how I feel. It's you can't really comprehend or understand what happiness is until you see the other side. That's when you figure out, okay, well, one, what is happiness for me, and what am I content with throughout life? So I don't think I would.
Like, what's to say that you can't create your own happiness? Plus, at the end of it, you continue to live your life for a long life. Whereas this, you're just taking the easy way out to take that 20 years, then you die at the end of it. So, like, there's nothing to say that you can't create your own happiness.
Yeah, I kind of think of that question as like if I were really deep into hard drugs, where like you have that high, right? But then everything else in your life is probably not doing so hot, and like so that's all you have, that high. Like I'm sure you're happy for that, for whatever that period it is you're on, and then that's it. There's no, to what Sam says, like there's no meaning to it, right? And there's no appreciation of it.
Yeah.
Other than the next piece of it.
I'm glad we all agree.
All right. The next question. If we switched lives for a day, what would be the first thing you would do?
Well, let's just answer for if we switch, like you, Thomas, and Felicia switch if we swap.
Okay, you go.
Sure. Okay. So if I switched, what would I do first? I think in terms of what I'm interested in is your job. So what you do for work. So I'd be curious to understand what, being a UX UI designer is like, and having the conversations with, your colleagues. To me, that's interesting because for me, my job, I like to pick other people's brains at work.
You'll be living a life of a lot of convincing and why you're worthy of your job and why people need you. That's the life of UX UI.
I was gonna say, you're so nice, Sam. If I was hopping into Mi's role, I'd like F everything up on her page and see like change all the alignments,
Oh my
because that
god.
didn't represent the link.
Buttons are like humongous, like click here.
Make the buttons take up the whole page and the pictures are this small.
All right, babe, we're not switching lives.
Make Thomas's life hard. What would I do? I don't know anything exactly, but I think it would be interesting to have your ability to drive your cars at the speed of how fast your cars can go. Because I think me and my body right now, I'd be scared to push it to the limits, whereas you're not afraid to push your crazy ass high horsepower car to the limits. And I think it'll be interesting to see what that feels like.
So Mi would play with all of Sam's toys.
Yeah, pretty much. His babies. What would you guys do?
I would wake up and kick everything in sight with my new big calves.
Even in your sleep.
I'd be like, poo, out of my way. And just like strut like calf first.
Calf first. What?
Oh, that's pretty good.
Wow, that did not go where I thought it was going. All right, no, if I swap with you, I would totally power trip. Like with the amount of like influence that she has,
Oh.
I would totally abuse that.
What would you do though?
Well, first is I would ask for more free stuff all the time. Just use
All the
of it.
skincare.
Give it all to me, babies.
Definitely lean more into that. Start abusing all of that.
He would go and like approach Theragun and all his favorite brands and be like, "Hi, I have a channel of this many people. Could you send me all your stuff? I would love to review." No review, but all that, right?
Yeah, like everybody has this like new face infrared thing. I'm like,
ooh.
Can you get on that, babe? Can you message them?
I can see you pretending to be like Iron Man with that LED mask.
Oh, true. Yeah, I can see that.
Come back and all the latest gadgets.
That'd be so funny.
And I'll just kick it off you with my big calves.
Although, you know what else would be cool is like having the ability to be more sociable.
Mm.
That would be a cool skill to have.
Because you're very
Not sociable.
introverted.
I feel like you're
No,
quite
but we're
social.
assuming that you're still the same person, right?
Yeah,
Or
but
is
you're
it
in that.
his like it's like Freaky Friday where
Yeah,
his
Freaky
soul
Friday.
has come into
Yeah.
my
Oh
body.
Yeah.
So like I would have her influence, but none of her ability.
Yeah. That's
You
it.
see Felicia run off like, ah.
Look at how high I jump.
That was so funny. All right, moving on to the next one. Do you believe in second chances? Why or why not?
Ooh,
Whoa,
this is a
damn.
good one.
Yeah.
Is there context or
No,
second chances?
you
however you
create
see
your
it.
own boundaries, right?
Mhm.
I'll start first. I think you should always have a second chance. And the reason why is because life is a journey. Life is all about experiences. So you're bound to make mistakes. So I think that we all should have that second chance to try again.
But what if someone cheated? Like, say I cheated.
Yeah, I think that's always the question.
Yeah.
Like,
Well-
what if they did so wrong by
Yeah.
you
What would you do?
consciously?
If someone did something bad to me, so long that it doesn't hurt my family, then sure, maybe I could give you a second chance.
But I am family.
Oh. Well, if you want to go down that route, yeah, if it's something to do like relationship, if you cheated on me, then I'd be like, well, depending on how you cheated and who you did it with, then I'd be like, okay, maybe not. I don't know, it's
So
kind of
there
hard.
is still boundaries or still a limit to the second chance.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. I feel like everyone does deserve second chances, obviously, depending on how serious or what the action they took. And I'm just thinking if you're always like, if you're a person that's like, no, I don't believe in second chances or I don't give second chances, I think that also shows what you are as a person because you're holding so much grudge within yourself. So I think to a certain extent, like you should give people second chances. But if it is something like you consciously went out there and cheated on me, like you knew what was happening and you chose to be with someone else and made that mistake, or I don't even know if it's a mistake, like you chose to do it, then that's a different question. So yeah, it depends on the context and the story behind why you did something. But for the most part, I'd still give second chances.
I mean, so long that you don't kill someone.
Okay, just don't do it again, okay?
What about you guys?
Along the same thing, I think it's contextual. It's like trained. I think in order to give second chances, you also have to develop your own belief in yourself that you will be able to handle it again if it does happen. It shows an internal strength, I guess, because you're kind of going out on a limb, but you're not being a little shit about it and making them feel terrible about it. Because you can give a second chance to someone, but give them attitude. And it's kind of like, well, don't give it to me anyway. Like, if you're going to make my life go through hell, like, so there's this.
And they resent
There's
you.
this part that, follows the second chance, which is like, if you're going to give a second chance, you wholeheartedly do that and start clean slate and like don't have my neck like against the wall, because I feel like that's
Yeah, it's kind of like bringing back to cheating. If someone gave that person a second chance after they cheated, but you're constantly just looking at what they're doing or just monitoring them, you're not giving them that opportunity to prove themselves.
And I know it's hard, but like
Yeah,
that
that's a real
just
hard-
comes
Yeah.
with the territory of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't do it. Like, if you're not ready to do it, if you're not like mentally there yet, I wouldn't say do it, because then you're just kind of like, it's just uncomfortable all the way through.
Mhm.
So until I was ready within myself to really like not force myself to seem like a good guy and then I wouldn't.
Mm.
But like the older I get, the more I know what my boundaries are, and it makes it much easier to decide that.
Mm.
So, but in general, yes, of course, second chances. Like, are we perfect? Hell no.
No, I love that. Thomas?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's just like second chances, yes, in general, with exceptions as well. Because it's like perfection is not real, right? Especially like for any specific person. I think we saw a lot of this when we first moved in together. Like, we have different lifestyle like habits, right? Example is like right now we're recording on our kitchen counter, and she likes to have the kitchen counter clean, but I love to put things on whatever surface I can find.
Just if it's horizontal, he'll put something on it, and I'm like, bro.
Right.
Another one is like when I wash my face in the bathroom, I will get water all over the kitchen.
Hey, same here.
I don't know how that happens. It's like a spoon has been held in your hand and it just sprayed
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's like, and then, anyways, and like that also annoys her to heck, right? And then after a while, it's just like. It's like I know it's like we have differences on this, and for me, for example, like I just don't see the water because I literally don't have my glasses on. But it's like you got to give me enough chances that I remember to see it and then wipe it off, right? And same deal with the kitchen counter thing. So I think that was like one of the things about like second chances I appreciated.
No, I like that.
That's like more of a 6th, 7th chance.
I would go into the double digits.
And I like that you brought up that second chances goes both ways. It's not just about giving the other person second chance, but it's also knowing yourself how willing you are to give that second chance and being patient and understanding what would happen if that situation happened again.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So the next question here, which is, when will you have made it in your eyes?
That's deep and that's hard.
Yeah, that's
that face.
yeah.
When will I have made it?
I think that's a really hard question and it's very subjective, but I think to me personally, it's less of like a title or place that you get to. It's more like how you getting to a place where you're content with what you're doing at that point in life and where you are. And I think that's saying that you made it.
Yeah.
So it's like an inner peace in a way.
I was going to say exactly the same thing. It's just, being that content in your life as to your achievements and you're happy with that.
Going back to that perfect life question, it can be perfect, but maybe mentally or physically you're not completely there. So I think you could be having challenges, you could be going hardship, but you're mentally okay with where you are and what you're going through and happy with living, like just going through the journey and the motions. I think that's being able to make it.
I was gonna say financial freedom.
That is a big aspect of it.
Yeah, like you can. Yeah, I think there's two ways to look at it. One is like a qualifier or like a quantifier of like how you want to define that, right?
Yeah, because you can't really get into the whole like spiritual ascension and mental ascension if you can't pay bills.
Yeah,
true.
Like there's just no space for that.
Yeah, it definitely has like an influence to it. How would you guys define making it? I'm curious to hear because Felicia, you're like beauty channel, big YouTube.
I honestly don't think personally that I'll ever make it until I'm dead in the ground.
What? What do you mean?
In the sense that our life is kind of in phases, and the undercurrent of that is, the like what's in here. I think it always comes back to how we see ourselves in life and understanding what life is about and what's important and what's a real priority and what's not. So that's kind of like what you guys were talking about. But at every stage in life, it almost like that understanding, we take our previous phases understanding into a new phase and develop that all over again. So like right now, I might feel content because I've, let's say, mastered my 20s. So I'm no longer as insecure. I'm no longer as like living on paycheck to paycheck on a casual job or something. So there's stability now. There's a little bit more confidence, but that doesn't mean I'm fully enlightened in a way, So I still have that, and that will bleed into my 40s. But then my 40s will have like another kind of phase of life where maybe I've had a child and my body is starting to change, and then I have to like recalibrate how I see myself once again. And then I'm 50, and then I have menopause, and then and then I'm 60, and then I'm like retiring, and then I'm 70, and I have like, so like every phase of life is almost this like, and it doesn't have to be decade to decade. It can kind of span however our life like
Changes.
But there's these phases. And so the reason why I don't think I'll be like content, what is it?
Made it.
You made it.
Oh yeah. So I'll never feel like I've made it because it's this constant working process.
Yeah.
Even when I die, I don't believe that I still would have like figured it all out. But hopefully at that point, like we've had enough experiences, I feel at peace, and like that mental space is just calmness.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by inner peace is like you could be going through challenges, but you're okay with going through with the motions, with the knowledge of knowing that things are still going to change and new challenges or new things or milestones might be achieved or new challenges might arise. It's just understanding that and being okay that new things will still pop up, but you're just content with going through with the motions. So that inner peace.
Yeah.
I think for me, I actually have, well, there's two answers I think for me. I think for one, I'll know I've made it professionally when I'm the subject expert within my domain. And to the point where like I think of it like this, right? Whenever I'm in water, or on ice, I feel very constricted because I can't move as
He's talking about ice skating.
like I can't move how I want to,
Because he
right?
sucks.
Yes.
I suck
So
too.
it's like on land, right? I have freedom, I have agency, I can do whatever I want. And I kind of feel the same way for my for the profession of just like being able to like enter a domain and then grasp the subject matter and either be able to solve a problem or build a solution for it, right? But on the other hand, for more personal side, like if you've seen the Barbie movie, like I'll
haven't
feel like
seen it
I've made it when I feel enough.
He loves that song so much. Literally on loop. But like, yes, I like your answer actually, because content in the different avenues of your life.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And next one. This one is definitely a couple one. What first attracted you to me? Anyone? Anyone? Who wants to take this answer? Thomas.
Just throw him under the bus.
No, I got this. I got
Oh,
this. Yeah. So for the listeners who don't know the backstory, Flea and I were friends for like 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we moved to New York.
2015.
Yeah, around the same time.
Friends.
And then the most platonic friends. And then like it was November 2022.
Wow, that's very specific.
I just remember it was just like because it was around Thanksgiving, Greatest American Holiday, and then we went to like Macy's to just like walk around and shop, and then I just remember afterwards in my head I was just like
with his mom.
I just remember in my head I was like, it was really nice to spend time with her. I would like to do more of that.
Aww, so cute.
So it was just like a chill, like feeling of just comfort.
Yeah, like it wasn't like some specific quality or like some specific aspect.
So was there something that was different that came out of that time at Macy's compared to the last 7 years that you guys were friends?
Was it because I had to help your mom pick out bath mats? Was it anything?
I can't remember. I don't think it was anything specific, actually.
Like you just enjoyed that time together.
Yeah. And then afterwards, as I like to say, I just made myself more available. Like we just hung out all the time, like on weekends, and
that's so cute.
And then the rest is history.
That didn't change because like we were friends before, so we would always hang out anyway. Okay, but very nice, babe.
And for you, Moy?
His calves.
His ability to kick.
Still thinking. What first attracted you to me? Okay, well, what first attracted me to you as a friend was you were like, I like when people can be really playful, not too serious, and just talk about anything, but also have a very like more serious side. So there's like a time and place for everything. Like if you're too serious, what a drag. If you're just for fun, it's only superficial. So like I like a little bit of that, like both. And so you're like that. You like to like eat, you like to do fun things, but also when the time comes, we can talk about deep things. And then I think what changed it from like friendship to thinking more about it was actually when he went through a hard time of depression. But actually, going back to that happiness question, like out of the darkness and the depths of like asking yourself hard questions about like, what do I care for? Why do I do these things? Like, what motivates me? Like, really facing yourself. I think out of that, he had this kind of calmness about him that was no longer searching for more like external validation from friends or like just trying to fill time and like going out and talking to this person. Like he was fine with finally just being by himself in a way. And like I could feel that as a friend who's known him for a long time. So that gave like me a sense of like calmness and stability, but also everything else that I knew about him. So that was when I started seeing you a little bit more differently. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say something different.
Oh, what were you gonna think?
So 2021, we did like a group friend trip to Miami, Florida.
Okay, we don't need to hear about all our like dating stories.
No, but like I thought so. Like we got into a huge tip, and we were still friends then. And then like she just kept giving me these like passive aggressive jabs throughout the whole trip.
Oh yeah, I was so mad.
She was so mad at me. And then towards the end of the trip, like we had a talk, just like actually talks through it. And then I thought you were gonna say like, oh, like you can like have these hard conversations kind of.
Yeah, that too. Like you were actually very good at communicating and using your words. It wasn't just like two sentences and like unable to explain. It was like a calm explain. So anyway.
And I find that so interesting because we have quite a similar story. We were friends first as well for also 6 to 7 years. And whatever made me attracted to you, Sam, is similar things where when we were friends, our communication was always just joking around. Like he would just always give me shit. Like those back in the days when you can only post on Facebook and he'll be like, "Hey, fatso," or like, I don't know, some like random name that he would just call me, and it's like literally just giving me shit. So that's how I knew him as. It's just like that friend that just jokes around.
And he's like, "I love it. That's my words of affirmation."
But it's the same thing. Like I was going through like just a challenging time. And for some reason, we ended up having this. It wasn't even a date. We just ended up hanging out and it turned into like a serious conversation. And we're just debriefing and just talking about all the challenges that we've been through in terms of relationships. And we're just talking about these things and just actually having a proper deep conversation. And I was like, wow, I didn't actually see. Like, it wasn't that I didn't see this side of him, but it was just really interesting where you actually feel heard. And I think that's what I was like, wow, this is a different side of Sam that I haven't seen before.
Yeah, so from my side, very, very similar in a way. I think, because we've been friends for years.
Yeah, because the context was we didn't see each other often. Like, we would bump into each other at like the shops or something and they'd be like, "Oh, hey," and then we'd just talk and joke around and then we just move on. Like it's not like we sit down and like, let's have a coffee or let's have a drink. It's literally you see each other, you say hi, have a quick 5-minute chat and move on. And that was what it was like for like 6-7 years.
Yeah. I think my mindset at the time was I always saw her as like a really good friend. And similar to you, Felicia, it kind of just got to a point where it's like, okay, you switch, it flipped.
From memory, I think what you told me was because I opened up about my like stories, right, and challenges, and you saw me as that happy, always joking around kind of person, and you're like, I didn't know that you've gone through all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't tell?
Yeah, I couldn't tell that she obviously had all those challenges, and I think it was just when I understood that she went through all those things, I was like, damn, like that really challenging, and that would have been so hard. And I don't know, just something about her just made me go, I want to know more of this person. I want to see her more. I want to try and help her. And then that's how it all started.
It's so true. I feel like it's a mixture of proximity, timing, and just like without those two things, it's like even if you're the most perfect compatible like couple, it's just like two ships in the night. You're just like
Yes. All right. Next question. Give an example of a time you may have been too critical and harsh towards yourself.
oh, so we're talking about ourselves now.
Yes.
Like every day.
Who has an answer?
Well, so for me, at least professionally, I will often swing between I am the shit and I am shit.
I'm the same, actually.
I feel that.
Like,
I
there's
get
days
that.
where you're like, yes, I've got this. Like, I'm so good at what I'm doing. And then there's some days you're just like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know anything. Like, I'm an imposter.
Yeah, and especially for now, like I'm in the job searching for a job, and like the interview market, interviews have been really tough, and it's just like a lot of times where I just like come out so dejected because whether it's like every day, it's like I'm not hearing callback, I'm getting rejected after the final round, and it's just like like what more could I have done? Am I doing the right things? Am I even good at this? It's just like all of these things. And then after a while, she was like, you need to calm down.
Yeah, like you can't take it personally. As hard as it is, it's like it's just tough, you know? Like, and if you're gonna beat yourself up over something that's not really even about you necessarily, then it's like it's just difficult. So what was you were saying like, is it me? They just don't like me.
Oh, because I had passed the technical part of the interview, and then it was just the behavioral part. And then it was after the behavioral, which was going to be the final round, that they rejected me. And I was like, wow, they just don't like me as a person.
Jeez.
They don't like my vibe.
And like that's fine. That's also fine.
No, but I can see where Thomas is coming from. Like, you're just constantly going in there. Obviously, you do want to try and get a job or try and shine through and be like that person where they're like, yeah, I do want to hire you. But it's like over time, it kind of chips away at you after each rejection. It's just like, okay, I'm trying again. And then it's like, still a no. And it's like, okay, I'm going to try again. It's like, still a no. And it's kind of like, how long am I going to do this for? Like, is it something that I'm doing that's just not standing out? And like, it just starts to eat away at you. And I think that kind of brings back into why it's good to have a companion to kind of bounce these thoughts around. And then you start to realize that it's not you, it's just hard market economy, like all these types of jobs, and maybe the cultural fit, things like that is all different.
It gets mentally draining.
Yeah, because it's like whether romantically, whether professionally, like every time you do these things, you are kind of putting a bit of like a piece of yourself out there. So like, and when it goes down in flames, it does feel terrible a certain way, you know?
Yeah, it's true. It's like it's a numbers game. You just keep going
Yeah.
and then something will stick, but like the keep going part is like the difficult part.
Yeah. I think for me, just the thing that's at the top of my head was the recent Muay Thai fight I had. I wouldn't say I was too critical or too harsh, like in an extreme manner, but I definitely thought I would have done better. And when I came out of the ring, like after I did the fight, so long story short, I didn't win the fight, but that didn't matter to me. Like my challenge of why I took on this fight was to build myself mentally to go through a hard situation or a hard time, but to be able to train my brain to be like, you need to keep going. So it's similar like to like just going into an interview for a job and you get defeated, but it's like you need to keep going. But I'm putting myself in this position where either I get knocked down or I get punched and I get pushed back and not giving up. So at first, when I didn't win and I came out, my first thought was like, I didn't do enough. And I was just thinking about it. And after all the other people who was there, it's like, yeah, it wasn't the best fight, but it's thinking about the perspective of you stood in there, you didn't get knocked down, you didn't give up, and you survived the 3 rounds, even though this person was just constantly punching at you and she had longer range. She had long limbs and you were still standing there and you didn't have a face of I'm giving up. So it's just perspective. So that was one example of me just maybe being a little harsh on myself. Like I didn't do great, but I also didn't give up.
Yeah. Yeah, especially as like a first fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have ran away like a little bitch.
No, there was definitely one tiny glimpse where my last round, I was like, in my eyes at that point in time, I was thinking I didn't do any damage at all. But when in hindsight, I did see that I was doing something. But it just shows you, like, if you have that mindset to keep going and keep pushing forward, even if something is knocking at you or knocking you down, and you don't see like the bigger picture, I think it still shows you how well your mindset can take you if you just thought to yourself, like, just keep going.
Yeah, you just got to keep moving forward, keep moving forward. But even for me, when I was watching it, to see someone that you obviously love and
Being thrown in the washing
yeah,
machine.
getting
That's what I was
smashed in the face, and you're like, oh shit, like
Like literally in the
Yeah.
face. Oh my god, that picture you posted. I'm like,
The
oh my god.
so funny. Anyway, sidetrack. Critical and harsh towards yourself.
the most recent example is probably 2 months ago. So in my this is professional work side of things. So I think
It's always work.
it's always work, but
It's always work.
it's always bloody work. But just coming into this new field that I'm playing in, just not doing well in terms of the quality of the work, or it's just not doing well in this space. And previously before that, I was kicking ass, chewing bubblegum at the same time.
Chewing bubblegum.
And and then, coming into a place where you're like, okay, this is a totally new space, learning everything from fresh, and it's just like, okay, it's not going the way that you want or anticipate it to. It's definitely one of those hard times where you, I don't know, hold yourself accountable, or you just look down on yourself. And I think the biggest thing is, like what Amelia was saying, is just keep moving forward. It's all about just, consistency and looking at the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's just always trying to push forward and not dwell too much on those negatives.
Yes, consistency and repetition. I think it's like that's actually what builds greatness, not just being able to be really skilled at something and then relying on that and half-assing everything. I think mine is like when you deal with algorithms, you're constantly seeing your worth in terms of a number. And I think for like everything that we do in terms of content, like if you're approaching anything as a business, you're looking at it in terms of views, in terms of metrics, in terms of revenue, in terms of like everything within that realm. And so when things like don't go well, like in the space of just social media platforms, like for example, when TikTok became really huge, it took away a lot of the eyeballs that we initially had on our videos. And I was like thinking, oh my God, is this because, we're not relatable anymore? Am I not doing enough? Like, are people just bored? Then what do I do? And then it really was this question. It was like a fork in the road. It's like, am I going to just like sit down, bow out, and be like, I did the best I can, and kind of just keep going down the road of like what you've always been doing? Or are you going to like put yourself out on a limb, try something new, and even if it doesn't work, then at least you still know you tried something new. And like it's even better if you can do that not just with yourself but with a team. And I think that was simultaneously really difficult because you're also responsible for leading. And so if, like shit hits the fan, like it kind of is your responsibility to like deal with that. So I think, yeah, like every day that I create content, it's simultaneously fulfilling, but it's also very, I just take it upon myself. Like, if the views aren't good, if the the analytics aren't good, it's me, because I'm also the face of it. But actually there's a lot of moving parts. And so I think like learning a healthy relationship with content is also something that I've like had to go through in the last like 6 years. So
Yeah, because it's all about numbers and that, and the algorithm changes all the time.
yeah, so I think with like these professional things, it's as much as it is personal, but learning to kind of separate yourself from it.
Yeah.
If it's like a very face value thing, it's like, okay, objectively speaking, was this good? What can we improve on? Like taking that emotional side out of it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's still another job. And if you go to a normal corporate job, it's the same thing. This didn't work. And you're just analyzing what happened, what can we do better, rather than beating yourself up because of that one job that you did and it didn't perform as well.
So when these things happen of like not getting good views or analytics, do you think of the times when like fans have come up to you on the street and be like, "Oh, like I've been watching you for so long and you've helped me so much, blah blah blah, like look at how great my skin is now."
Yeah.
Like do you ever think of those people?
Yeah, I reckon that's rewarding.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, you just don't see that a lot. Like,
True.
it happens maybe, once in a while, but for the most part, we're just looking at a screen every day.
Do you feel rewarded or like feel like you've achieved something when someone does come up to you and actually thank you for your content and it's helped them?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think all the struggles that I go through are instantly wiped out because it's like, yeah, if I can help change someone just through my own suffering and like, you don't have to do that, then great. Like, that's why we exist.
Dude, that's what I was saying about earlier about switching bodies. Like I would totally abuse the heck out of it. Like anytime a fan came up, it'd be like, praise me, praise me.
Tell me more.
Tell me more how I impacted your life.
Okay, babe.
All right, next one. What does it take for you to trust someone?
Wait, what was that other question? Was it something like, what does truth mean?
Honesty.
Honesty.
Yeah.
It kind of overlaps.
But I think this is like, what does it take or how do you start to trust in someone?
I think before when
Can
I
I ask a preliminary question to everyone? It's like, do you give people the benefit of the doubt when you first meet them or no? Like, where do they stand automatically?
Ooh, that's a good one, eh?
I think for me personally, I always do give the benefit of the doubt. I feel like I've gotten to the point where I can read someone quite well and I saw something that doesn't align with me, but I'm still not that person where like, okay, I'm going to rule that person out. I'm never going to talk to them again. I still give them the benefit of the doubt because maybe they were nervous or something which caused them to do something, or they were in a position where maybe the boss was telling them to do something and they acted out in that way or something. So there's always something or a story behind why someone did something, and whether or not their first impression was good or not, I still give the benefit of the doubt, because to me, I was going to say, what does it take for me to trust someone is watching them through their actions and what they do, because actions is louder than words to me, and they could say that I'm a trustworthy person, I'm always reliable, blah blah blah, but you can say that so much. But if that doesn't reflect through your actions, then that speaks a lot to me.
So you're like innocent until proven guilty.
For the most part, I think, unless they've done something that was extremely, extremely bad, which is a rare case. Yeah, I'm just like, I like to sit on the sidelines and watch and be like, okay, is this person going to walk the talk?
Yeah, I have like two tiers to it. So like initially when I meet someone, they're like I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but once if they like lose that for whatever reason, it's going to be really hard to
Real
regain.
Thomas back.
Mm.
Nah, I'm the same. Like, I think I am a very giving person, but once you've crossed that line, you've lost me.
Challenge! Didn't you say the second chances?
Yeah.
Oh.
Second chance, though, which is the benefit of the doubt. But then if you see it through actions where they're not proving themselves, then I'm like, see you later, alligator.
I think I'm like Thomas, the two tiers. I give him benefit of doubt, but sometimes you can sniff the person and you go, nah, this person's not legit. You know how people just by their body language, how they talk.
Vibes.
Yeah, their vibe, their demeanor, you just go, probably not.
What was
Wait.
the question again?
What does it take for you to trust someone?
How do you hold conversation?
This is what it's going to be like if you swap bodies with Felicia.
What does it take? That's kind of like alluding to the fact that they have to do something for you to trust.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then for us, it's like you don't have to. Like, we'll give you the benefit of doubt. Like, we'll kind of start trusting you initially, right?
Mm.
Like, I had this coworker who I later found out didn't really do work, and he was like a senior engineer, like myself at the time, and I kind of just couldn't process that he wasn't doing work. Like, let's say out of like a quarter, like 3 months, he would do 2 weeks worth of work.
Wow.
Wow.
And like I just couldn't process it. And then I kept giving him the benefit of the doubt of like, because we would have these like regular one-on-ones, and he like, he knew how to talk. And after a while, I was just like, all right, I know what you're up to. I know what you're about now. Like I'm gonna try to stay away from you, essentially.
Yeah, what did he do for those 2 weeks then? Take himself out.
I couldn't tell you. What did I do to gain your trust?
Well, that's the thing. I'm thinking like, in order to gain my trust in a relationship is very different to how you would need to gain my trust in a
work.
friendship
Yeah,
or like
it's different. Yeah.
and like this is past the stage of course I'll just like if I meet someone like I'm gonna be friendly, nice, like I'm kind of the like if you're a friend's friend then you'll automatically kind of like not be my friend, but I will treat you as a friend kind of thing. But then past that, in order to like gain my trust as a friend, like I don't trust you yet, right? I'm just nice. But to gain my trust, I think what would they have to do if they had to do something? I think it's not they have to do something, it's just like over time
They have to demonstrate that they're credible.
Reliable.
Yeah, credible and reliable.
I think if someone went out of their way to like help you or took their time out of the day to like listen to you and they didn't really need to do that and you're trying to and you don't really know this person, you know them as like a friend of a friend, then you start to open up a bit more. Like to what it takes for you to trust someone is just giving that ability to make you feel like you can be open to them.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's kind of going back to the fact that like what I was talking about with friendships, if you don't open up to me or don't feel that you can open up to me, then normally it's not like I'm going to spill my whole life to you either, right? It kind of so it's kind of
It's
when
a
I
give and
can
go.
sense that, then I can trust you. Like I will trust you with anything that I say. Yeah, there's kind of a little bit of give and take, especially when you're like meeting someone new, and that's kind of like the approach I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, for friendships, it's kind of it goes back to like we're not just talking about fun things, like you'll be able to actually hear me and understand me. And then for
Yeah.
a relationship, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like the same thing applies.
Yeah. All right, moving on. What do you think happens after death?
The hell?
It's a bit.
Wow. After death, well, I kind of believe in the Buddhist philosophy, so I don't think that life here is the life itself and that's it. Like I think, the lessons we learn, the pains that we go through, it's part of something bigger. And so, what's the point in even being human is to like learn these lessons and like at the end of the day be a better person, like and to gain that what were you talking about? It's like this presence and this calm
Inner peace.
and inner peace, exactly. And then in the afterlife, after we die, like there is more to it. And it's kind of dependent on how you have been as a person in this life, the merits and the virtues that you accumulate versus the bad things. Like I do believe that there is karmic retribution. If you like kill someone or like do bad things all your life, it accumulates to something. There are like kind of energies within that, like the good and the bad. So yeah, that's for me. I don't think it stops there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like there's definitely something that happens after death, but I don't know. Like, I don't know how that would be, whether it's reincarnation or if you follow through where karma follows what you've done in the past life or something. I haven't thought that far, but I definitely do think something continues after.
Yeah. Okay. Side note, like I don't know if you've ever watched or heard about past life regressions, but people do these past life regressions and it's essentially hypnosis. And you know how like the brain, you're only using or accessing like 20-30% of your brain and what it holds, right? So in these past life regressions, you kind of numb this human brain and it unlocks what your brain actually holds to remember like previous things. So like
Yeah.
I go off
I have
on
heard of that.
and it
Hectic.
comes through like sometimes we were talking about dreams. Like I totally believe that sometimes when we dream, it is and could be from things that we don't even know, like people that we see or meet from like past lives or something. It's just like it's impossible for me to really put myself in this situation had I not experienced it. So I almost feel like maybe sometimes dreams are a reflection of potentially something that like the brain or the soul. I think we're not just talking about the brain, like the soul remembers in another life.
It's like those K-dramas where they live like a modern life, but back in the ancient days, they had a relationship with someone, and this is why they see the
Yeah.
same person in their life right now, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree in terms of the whole Buddhist, the mentality of how like there's life after death, and then you reincarnate into an animal or something because of your journey in your life that you did and you went through. And it's kind of a weird thing. I've never said this to anyone, but my dad said this to my sister, and this was, I don't know, back in 2009 or something. But my dad said this to my sister, and he said, "I think in my life that I've lived in so far, I've done a lot of bad stuff, and I think because of the bad stuff, I believe I'm going to pass away early."
That's chilling.
And the weird thing is, probably a year after, he passed away.
Wow.
And I remember my sister telling me that. I was like, holy crap. And she's like, yeah, this is what dad said to me before. Which is scary because when you think of it, like all the things that we just spoke about, the whole Buddhism and just the religion side of things, the karma and things like that, potentially
That's
it could
crazy.
be true.
Wow.
Scary.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm basically on the same boat of like reincarnation. And like I think there's different ways to think about this from like a spiritual perspective of trying to understand how things actually operate. And like there's also the social aspect of kind of making sure that you're doing the right things to kind of keep like a functioning society moving along kind of deal. But yeah, I definitely think that there's like, you know, there's retribution, there's karma, there's reincarnation.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think it's the people who might not necessarily believe that they think they can just get away with just doing bad stuff.
Yeah, like I think about that a lot recently because like in New York City, for the subway system, fare evasion is like a huge deal right now. Like you just see people like either jump the turnstile or like not paying some way. And then for me, I'm just like, why am I still paying for it? But also it's just like if you do it, you're also facilitating that kind of environment as well. And it's just like further kind of contributing to like the issues essentially.
No, I love that. All right, lucky last. This one's actually a good one to end on. What is the grossest thing you've seen me do? Actually, I'll answer for Felicia. I witnessed her putting her foot, was it like brushing Thomas's hair with her foot? Casually, as if she's doing it with her hand.
No, my dirty laundry is being aired.
I totally forgot about that.
We totally forgot because they do it like almost every night.
It's just a daily routine for you.
Oh my god. Okay, so what's like of anyone, right?
We're gonna fire back with something.
Grossest
Just
thing.
trying
I
to.
don't know. Well, I definitely haven't seen. It's hard because we're not like in the same country, so it's not like we can see.
Another one, Moy. You probably remember.
Oh my God.
When we were coming back from, was it Red Bank? What's that thing? Anyway, so we were sitting in the car, it was like a hot summer day. She's holding out marshmallows in her
Oh,
hands.
gross.
And I was just eating off it, but she has clammy, sweaty hands. And I was eating the marshmallow, and I was like, this marshmallow is salty.
That's so
And then
gross.
that's how I learned that she has sweaty, clammy hands because I was eating melted marshmallows that was melting on her hands.
Okay, so shots fired at me.
Enough about Felicia.
Give you a chance to respond.
The feet thing must be a family thing, eh?
Why?
Because you do the feet thing too.
I don't touch
But you
your
don't
head
like
with...
brush. She doesn't brush my
Yeah, I don't know. It's like hard because Thomas is super clean. Like he'll wear a shirt for 2 hours in the day and it goes into the wash. I'm like, I keep that for at least 2 weeks.
Yep, me too.
So one time I open up our closet and I go into her section because I'm looking for something. And then suddenly, like as soon as I pass my side of the clothing, it smells very different.
What?
She'll wear something and she'll just put it back in.
Our microbiomes are just different.
And then so I'm one of those Asians that have like genetically like dry earwax, so I don't have that many smells.
I have wet earwax. What's
So-
your earwax?
Wait, what the hell?
You have wet?
That's the first time I've realized that you can get wet earwax.
I have wet.
Because his is squishy, like wet. And I'm like, mine,
Same. It's
mine
like
never looks like that. Mine's like flaky, like it's just dry.
Yes, mine too. So yeah, and then I'm like,
Wait, but what's the earwax got to do with
Yeah.
her clothing in the closet?
well, it's like a genetic thing. If you have dry earwax, you don't produce as much BO or something like that.
yeah, they
What?
said there's like a chemical.
Wow.
Yeah, look it up.
And the worst part is she likes rolling around in her own smells.
Oh yeah, I love
What?
wearing the same pajamas for at least 2 weeks because it starts to like adhere to your body smells, and I love it.
2 weeks is not too bad.
Right?
I wear my PJs for about
A
2
month.
weeks or even a month.
Yes, you need
Unless
to
it's summer. Unless
opening
it's
him up to the real world that you don't wear pajamas for 2 days.
I'll do it for a week max.
Oh, one thing that you do is actually, it's not like disgusting. And I think we all, I don't know, do we have this habit? But like when you scratch your head or do something, you just smell it.
he does.
I smell it.
They literally, you two are the same
Hell yeah,
person.
we do the same thing.
And like he just casually scratches
but
his head.
that's
and
a
he's
good
like,
way. You got to smell if you stink or not. And if your hair smells, then you know, okay, I need a.
But the thing is,
I need a
by the
shampoo.
time you bring your hand to your nose, that scent's gone. So I don't
Not
know why
necessarily.
you're like,
Nah.
No, if it's bad, it'll stay.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
really? But at the same time, I'm thinking of all the particles that you've just picked up on your nails and now you're sniffing it up your nose. Your hair, there's like skin that will come. It's so gross. All right. Enough about
I guess we're just not that gross of people.
heaps of shots fired at Felicia though.
I'm definitely like the most accepting of the body, I would say.
Coming from someone at Beauty Within. It's all about the within, not the outer part.
It needs more beauty.
Yeah.
It needs more external beauty.
I'm concentrating too much on within.
And then you, Annie.
Oh my god, wait. I thought of one. Okay, so he is so ticklish on his belly button. And one day when we were dating, I was like lying on his stomach and I look into his belly button for the first time and there were sediments of black rock.
Oh,
the dust? Because he's never cleaned it because it's so sensitive. I look into the gaps and it's filled with black rock.
Oh
It
my
had
God.
compressed. Oh my god, it was disgusting.
Holy
And then I
moly.
needed to get like not even those cotton buds or Q-tips could get it out. I needed to like Leo to like. Oh my god, it was so bad. And then what came out on the tissue was actually just like chunks of black crap.
Whoa, that's hectic.
That's like a fossil you just uncovered.
Yeah, that was a puzzle.
I've gone through years of compression.
Oh my God.
I win.
Gross thing. I think the grossest thing is just watching you pick, because you know how your feet over time when you walk and it's got like this hard skin, especially on the side, he picks it, but then he just drops it where he picks it. So,
Oh,
and because his
that's
skin is
good.
so thick, I'll look on the carpet and like it just looks like dust. But then you look closer, it's actually
It's like skin.
particles of his skin on the carpet. And when you run the vacuum over it, it's like.
Oh my
So good. So good. Oh
Yeah,
god.
that's
god!
the
They turned
grossest
into
thing.
skin chips.
He's sun drying it.
Oh, gross.
Sun dried skin. All right, but that comes to the end of Let's Get Deep. And yeah, that is disgusting. So don't pick your toes. And clean your belly button, guys.
Clean your belly button, guys.
Ranger shirt.
But yeah, before we end it, is there any plugs that you guys want to share or where people can find you?
You can find me at Beauty Within. And you can find Thomas also making cameos on Beauty Within.
He's the new star of the show.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great and always have so much fun when we catch up.
Yes.
Hope you enjoyed. And that is it for this episode.
Thank you again, guys, for joining, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace out.